Okay, good evening class.
Good evening, sir.
In this class today we will learn how to write an article. So, before we start our lesson today, do you guys have any idea of what an article is?
No, sir.
Okay, so an article is a kind of writing that is written to reach a massive number of people. This kind of writing usually help by being released to the press. The press here means the publisher, publishing houses, magazine, journals, and etc. etc. Next slide, please. The planning. Now, before you start writing anything, you of course need to plan on what you are going to write inside your article. First, you also need to consider these 3 points. First, there is the introduction, the audience. Sorry, by audience is who you are writing for. Who you are writing for will affect how you write your article significantly, because you can write with the language for kids to the adults audience. Next is the purpose. By the purpose here, I mean what you are going to do with your article. Either it is going to be persuasive, it is to be informative, or it is to be only entertaining, maybe. Up to you what you are going to do with the article later. Next, you also have to consider the main points. The main points is the key points that you will write inside your article. So it's like the main arguments. Next, please. This is what I explained before. Sorry. In here, the purpose. Here we will talk in more detail about what the purpose of your article. Your article could be informative. You could also be persuasive, or you could also be entertaining, like I said before. Next slide, please. Sorry. Before that, an informative article is where you state a fact or news or anything without emotional what is it called, interruption. Like you show the real fact that happened in the current issues or anything that you would write about. So the article you write would be informative. Meanwhile, while you are trying to be persuasive, you would like to ask people. You would like to persuade people to agree with your opinion inside the article that you will write later down the road. The next is the entertaining article. Entertaining article is the article that is made purely to be entertaining. Next slide, please. Okay, so now you know how to plan your article. Here we will do an assignment about the main points and the target audience, also purpose of your article, also called as the planning part. In this paper here later, you will see a circle that I made to fill out your main idea. You can freely choose an idea that you will later elaborate to an article, a real article. Here, your paper.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I will give you several minutes, 15 minutes, before we will discuss it later. Okay, time's up. Can I collect your paper, please? Okay, here you write some interesting topics about your assignments. First, we have environmental issues. Well, this topic is way too broad. You may want to narrow it down about what specific environmental issues you want to talk about in the article. And also, you write about vegan lifestyle. This is very good, but you should also narrow it down so that it could be how you would start a vegan lifestyle, or how to start vegan lifestyle cheaply maybe, or anything like that. So it will narrow it down, so you will have some easy time when you actually make the article later. Next slide, please. Now we already have made our planning to write our article. Next is how we lay out our article in a good way. Now take a look at this example. Here is the sample of a good layout, article layout. First, next slide please. There should be a headline. What is a headline? Headline is the title of your article. It's your main point, your main argument of the article. It should be catchy to grab the attention of your reader, and because it is the first sentence in the article. Next please. Now, a headline might be catchy or attention grabbing, but it doesn't have to be informative. Here you should use a subheadline to elaborate your headline, so that you give the main details on the subheadline about your headline. Next please. Now a good article should also be written in the short paragraphs like this, because article usually posted in the newspaper where it doesn't have much space. Next please. Now here is the general structure of a good article. It should be started with introduction, followed by your main body or your main key arguments, and then should be closed with a conclusion. Next please. An introduction. So introduction should try and set out the general ideas of your article. There are so many ways you can start your article with. For example, you can start with a shocking facts that immediately grabs your reader's attention, or you could also use an anecdote, or you could also use what is it called? Yeah, something like that. Next please. The main body. Next part is where you develop your main argument or your main point that you have write in your assignment like before. Here you can link your words, link your arguments with connectives such as however, additionally, and something like that. Next please. Here is an example of main body. In the example, the writer said that some people think that some good can come from war. He disagree with it, because in the headline he said peaceful is more powerful. Next slide please. Here is what I told to you about. Next. Then he ended the paragraph with a one sentence to make a dramatic effects, like they are wrong, like only one sentence but it gives dramatic effects. Next is when you have several points of key arguments, you can also use a subheading to parts your main body, so your article could be more organized. a subheading is different from subtitles because or subheadline, because you can have several subheading in your article, but you can only have one subtitle in the article. Next, here are some subheadings that can be used in the article in the example, like blinded by wars, might is not right, or let's make a peaceful future. Next, please. Now, lastly, you should conclude your article and bring the article to a close. At this part, you should summarize, or you could also give opinion. You can also start a question that later be answered, and anything you can think of, like yes, like that. Next, please. Now, here we have learned how to plan our article. We have learned how to structure our article, and we have learned how to write an article. Let's summarize what we have learned today. So before you begin writing, you should consider several points. You should consider the audience, you should consider the purpose, you should also consider the main points of your article or your key arguments. Next, you should try to make your headline catchy and attention grabbing, because of course there is the first sentence of the article. Next, you should also develop your argument in the main body part of your article. You can use linking words for connecting your one idea to another with additionally, however, and something like that. You can also use subheadings to divide the sections of your main body, like I said before. And lastly, you should conclude your article and summarize it in the conclusion part of your article. Now that is how you write an article. Is there any question?
No, sir.
Okay. To test your understanding, I will give you a homework. That is, you remember the assignment earlier? You have learned how to plan your article. Now I would like you to build an entire article, a full article, in your home, and it will be submitted next week in our class next week. Please don't be late, because there will be a point reduction for those who are late. Here I give you your assignment back. Okay. That is our class for today. Thank you very much for your attention. You may now leave the class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.